Hey everyone. So I've been debating for a long time whether or not I wanted to make this video and post it publicly. But I've decided to do that, and I hope that it'll really open people's eyes. Especially when it comes to your teeth. So I dealt with severe, agonizing tooth pain on both sides, all of my back teeth, top and bottom. It was just to the point where I was ripping my hair out because it hurt so bad. So I finally went to the dentist, and they prescribed me antibiotics and some pain medicine and scheduled me for another appointment for extractions because they couldn't do that with the infected teeth. So I took the antibiotics as directed, and I went back for another appointment. And at this appointment, they did x-rays again and found that the antibiotics didn't work. My teeth were still infected and they were still hurting. Normally, with the antibiotics, the pain goes away, but it didn't. So they prescribed me a different kind of antibiotic and a more higher dosage to see if that would work. Well, needless to say, it didn't. So finally, I just got tired of it. I just wanted my teeth taken care of. I wanted the pain to go away. 8 months of this, and not being able to find a dentist because Medicaid didn't cover a lot of dentists that were in my area. And then not being able to get a ride anywhere else without money. So I dealt with it. I let it go, and I dealt with it. And then we moved here to Arkansas. Best decision we've ever made. And my teeth, obviously, were still bothering me. So we tried to schedule an appointment for me at the dentist here. But I had to get my Medicaid switched. They couldn't see me because of the New York Medicaid. So that was a long process. And during that process of trying to get my Medicaid switched to Arkansas, I started feeling really ill. I started having really bad body aches, fever, headaches. My throat was hurting. I was having trouble breathing, and I thought it was just a really bad cold, because it felt like the flu. But I thought it was just a bad cold and it would go away with over-the-counter medicine. So I went and got some over-the-counter medicine, and I was taking it, but the symptoms never went away. They just got worse. For about a week and a half, I just played it off like it was just some serious cold that would eventually go away. My immune system would kick in and it would just stop. But it didn't. Instead, my throat began to swell. And it swelled about this far out of my neck. I just had this lump, like this softball-sized lump in my neck. My throat was closing up. I couldn't drink. I couldn't swallow. I could barely breathe. I was to the point where I was gasping for air. And I was sleeping all the time. And every time I would try to drink anything, I would take a sip and try to swallow it. It didn't go down. It came right back up and came out my nose, or I choked on it. I couldn't swallow. My throat was that swollen. So finally, on September 8th of 2015, I went to the emergency room. I started crying. I told them I couldn't breathe and I had this lump, and they rushed me in the back, and they took me in and did scans, and they found that it was an abscess. That huge lump in my throat, in my neck, was an abscess from my infected teeth. So they rushed me to Fort Smith Mercy Hospital, which is an amazing hospital if you ask me. They were wonderful. I got prepped for surgery, and they removed the teeth and the abscess. They started draining it, which I believe is where this scar is from. Either this scar or this scar. I'm not sure. I was out of it half the time, but I'll get to that. So a couple days later, they took me in to run some more tests because the doctor told me that I should be able to swallow and, all that, but I still couldn't swallow. Like, it was still coming back up, choking on it through my nose. So they thought maybe we didn't get all the infection out. Maybe there's another abscess. So they took me in and they did another scan, and they found that the infection that was in my neck from my teeth had drained into my chest and in my lungs. So I got prepped for yet another surgery where they put tubes in my side up over my ribs to drain the infection out of my chest and my lungs and whatever they had to do to get it out. After that surgery, I don't remember very much. I was on a lot of medication. It was September 11th, by the way, when I went in for that. My daughter's birthday passed on the 17th of September, and I missed it. And then a week later, I finally woke up on my birthday. I remember the nurses were hanging a birthday banner and all these beautiful pictures and cards that my kids made for me. And I kept thinking I just wanted to go home. I wanted to be with my babies. I was hooked up to all kinds of tubes and wires, and I had a trach in my neck. I couldn't talk. I still have the notepad that I used to be able to communicate with people. I had a feeding tube, and it was bad, and all of this happened because I just let my teeth go. I didn't push for the help to get my teeth taken care of. I didn't think this would happen. I didn't know this would happen. I didn't know the severity of how bad your teeth can make you. I really didn't. Thought it was no big deal, but it happened to me, and it can happen to you. So finally, I only got to see my kids once. The entire time I was in the hospital, and I didn't want them to see me the way I was, hooked up to all those machines and tubes. So I saw them for a couple minutes. I gave them all hugs, and they were all trying to talk to me, and, and I couldn't handle it. So they ended up leaving. I remember thinking the entire time how badly I just wanted to take a drink of a glass of ice water. And if you know me, I hate water. I really do. But all I wanted was a nice frothy glass of ice water. And I couldn't have it. I remember my last week in the hospital. I was finally able, they hooked something up. I can't remember what it was called. But they hooked it up to my trach, and when I covered it with my finger, I could talk just a little bit. So with that, they put me on a nectar diet, basically. Everything that I drank or ate had to be like as thick as nectar, I guess. Because as I was doing the tests for that, they were watching as I was swallowing, and they needed to make sure that what I was drinking wasn't going down into my lungs or down the wrong tube. So, anyways, I remember hallucinating really bad during that time. I don't remember a lot of stuff that happened. Like I said, I was out of it, but I do remember my hallucinations. It's actually crazy. The hospital was, like, I felt like I was strapped down to a bed, like in a psych ward, and like my bed was tipped up, like I was standing, but I was strapped to a bed, so like I wasn't standing, and everything was Halloween themed. It was really weird. And of course I had the trach in and all these tubes. I couldn't talk. I couldn't scream. I couldn't cry. And I remember a nurse coming in to bathe me. I remember very vaguely. She came in to bathe me. And I could have sworn that she was prepping me or getting me ready for the male nurses and doctors to come in and do things to me. Of course, remember, I was on a lot of drugs. I was very, very hallucinating, really bad. And then I vaguely remember one time I got out of bed and tried to walk with all these tubes attached to me. I tried to escape. And I was trying to scream and I couldn't. And I fell flat on my face. I also remember my Nana being there after one of my surgeries. I can't remember what surgery it was, but I never met my Nana. She died before I was born. She knew of me and she was excited to meet me, but I never met her. I've seen pictures and I've heard stories and memories. But yeah, after one of my surgeries, my Nana was there. She didn't say anything. We were standing on a bridge overlooking the lake, I'm assuming. And she just stood there smiling at me. And like the sun was shining perfectly around her. Like it was amazing. And I walked up to her and I tried to talk to her. And she didn't respond. She just kept smiling at me. And then all of a sudden she reaches over and she pushes on my chest, almost as if she was like pushing me away. And then I woke up. I came out of the anesthesia or whatever. So I think that she was telling me it wasn't my time to go. I almost died. The doctors told me that if I didn't go in to the hospital when I did, a few days later, my throat would have completely closed. It would have closed my airway, and I would have suffocated to death. And then the surgeries, I almost died during the surgeries. Doctors said that I had like a 50-50 chance, basically, of surviving all of it, everything. And finally, about a week before they released me, they told me that because of my age played a big factor in surviving this, because a lot of 40-year-olds or 50-year-olds or even 30-year-olds, they don't survive this. Their bodies can't work as hard anymore. And they also said that my weight played a big factor in it too. So it was just a very big, horrible experience, and I would never wish it on anybody. I went 3.5 weeks without seeing my kids, without being able to talk to them on the phone. I missed my daughter's birthday. And finally on October 1st, I was able to go home. I was there from from September 8th to October 1st. I was finally able to go home. But I still couldn't talk. They took the trach out and my voice was gone. I had this soft-spoken voice, I didn't even recognize who I was anymore. And I had that for a long time. In fact, about a month ago, I finally just got my voice back. I went into a really deep depression after that, too. I couldn't sing anymore, and singing has always been my passion. If you know me, I'm always singing, or always posting videos of me singing, because I just don't care. It's something I love doing. But I couldn't sing, and normally when I'm depressed or upset, I like to sing. That's how I calm down or feel better. I couldn't even do that. And I had these holes. They were holes in my neck. Right here from my trach. Right here from a tube. I'm not sure what it was for. And right here from a tube. Now, I don't know if y'all have heard of the It Works products, but I've been using the defining gel on my scars. They were a lot worse and a lot more visible. They were more purple. But obviously they're hard to see in the video or in pictures unless I have like flash on and it's right there. But I also have these scars. Those are from the tubes that they put up over my ribs. I also don't have feeling. I have like very faint numbness, like as if your hand fell asleep and you were touching it. You could kind of feel it, but you can't because it's numb at the same time. I have that in my side and in my left breast. I can't feel it. It's dead, basically. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on anymore. But I wanted to make this video to hopefully help somebody who's going through really bad tooth pain or is having the symptoms that I had before I ended up in the hospital. Just please get your teeth looked at, get them fixed. Stop making excuses. Just go. I understand if you have kids and they have appointments of their own or you have to work. But honestly, what's missing one fucking day of work? Honestly, if your life depends on it, do you honestly think work is that important that you would rather die than save your life? I can't believe how many people have actually used that excuse when I'd see someone post about their tooth pain. And it's like, just stop. You need to take care of you. You need to make sure that you are healthy. You need to make sure that you don't leave your kids on this earth without their mom or dad, if you have kids. If you don't, you need to make sure that you don't leave your family without you. You know, this isn't something to mess around with. It's really not. Take it from me and go get help. Now rather than later. So, yeah. That's my story. That's what happened to me. And I really hope that whoever sees this will get the help that they need. Because it really sucks. It really does. Especially when you miss out on so much. So yeah. Bye.